What is good, YouTube? Quinn Wade. Basketball analysis coming to y'all with a quick video. Today we're going to talk about another rumor that might actually come through. I talked to a lot of Spurs fans, and a lot of people want to know what I think about what the Spurs should do. DeMar DeRozan is aspiring. Lamarcus is aspiring potentially. And they're a team that did not make the NBA playoffs this year. Plus, they do have a lottery pick also. And they have guys like Derek White, Bryn Forbes, DeJounte Murray, Lonnie Walker, just to name a few. And that's something to be excited for because we know the coaching staff of the Spurs have developed some of the best players and they have drafted some young players and they are already shown improvement in growth. Plus, they have a long time since being out of the playoffs and still not knowing when the season is going to start. It's interesting to see what they will potentially do. So I'm looking at Lamarcus Aldridge. This is a guy that had a pretty decent year, still is a contributor on a contract that's not that bad considering that it's aspiring. Teams will love to trade for it just to get that salary cap relief. And you can get some pretty good assets because even if they would go to a contender or a team that's trying to get over the hump and they can take him this year and give him an extension next year, Lamarcus Aldridge still showing they got a lot left in the tank and he still can play and he can still be a decent piece to another team. Will he be that superstar player? I don't see that anymore. I feel like he has basically maintained his growth and he has maintained his play to a certain extent. Some Spurs fans are a little disappointed. He's not that defensive player that he was in the first couple seasons. He's not that dominant player anymore either, but he still is a third, fourth, or fifth player on a very good team that's just missing one or two pieces to get over that hump. And Lamarcus can still play. He can still hit the mid range. He can still hit free throws. And he still is a guy that has been pretty healthy. And he can still rebound pretty decently. So I can see a lot of teams being interested in him. And plus, the Spurs, they're in a situation where they have a lot of young talent that needs more playing time, needs more development, needs more growth. And Lamarcus and DeMar showed that they possibly are not going to be able to get this team to the playoffs. And on top of that, you look at the West and you see the teams that got in there and you see the teams that didn't make it. It's going to be even tougher to make it to the playoffs next year if the Spurs can't get another elite level player to go alongside Lamarcus and DeMar DeRozan, which it doesn't look like that's going to happen either. And if that's not going to happen, then you're better off trying to get what you can for both of these players and start a retool. And the reason why I use the word retool is because they have enough talent to be competitive. Greg Popovich is going to find ways to steal games. He's going to find ways to still be competitive, even if he doesn't have the greatest talent. They proved that this year, being a couple games away from basically making the playoffs again. Plus, on top of that, some of these guys can opt out and leave and go sign another contract anyway. Um, and basically go to wherever they want to pick whoever wants to sign them this summer. So that also will be, if they opt in and get their money, at least you get something from them instead of nothing at all if they do decide to leave in free agency. Now, I do love what Lamarcus Aldridge brings as a veteran. You don't really see too much whining and complaining. You don't really see too much unprofessionalism since he's been in the NBA. And he is a guy that is a competitor. He is a guy that is still going to set good screens and find ways to be effective. And he knows his game and he knows his limitations. And he showed that he can be a capable floor spacing big if you do want to play him at the five and use him more as a pick and pop guy, like we see guys like Joel Embiid, Kristaps Porzingis, and those type of guys become. He's not as mobile, not as great individually anymore, but he still do have that fadeaway, which is still unstoppable at this age. He still does have the face up in the mid post and the high post where he can knock down the elbow jumper, and those things are still valuable in today's NBA. And if you do get him this year, you know that he's not going to be a max contract player unless he has this reassertion year that shows you that he's still one of the top 30, 40 players in the world. Then you will be paying him in the 20s, which is still not that bad considering that you will only be able to give him the 3 to 4 years if you don't trade for him in the free agency. But if you do, you can give him 5, and I don't really see too many teams that would want to give Lamarcus Aldridge 5 years at his age and at his production that he's at right now. So Lamarcus Aldridge's career is going to be different the next 2 to 3 years. Some teams are going to take a gamble on him. Some teams are going to give him the 1+1 and give him the ability to opt out and become a free agent again. I can definitely see his team doing that on the safe side, because if it works, you keep him and he'll want to come back for a decent salary like we've seen with Paul Millsap do in Denver, or he can sign a 2 deal and try to opt out early, and that will give him flexibility as a free agent if it doesn't work or he wants to go to a different team and try to market. That can also work for him too. Plus, you're not locked up to a mass amount of money if you're the team that's giving it to him, because he can opt out and you're not locking yourself in to long-term numbers like 4 or 5 years. So he's still an asset. He's still a commodity. He still can produce, and it's just going to be tough to see if Popovich going to go all in on trying to go young and trying to go through that moment where the Spurs are eventually going to be headed. And if you can get some more draft picks or another young piece like you seen in the Kawhi Leonard trade, where you get a guy like Jakob Poeltl, who also will be a free agent soon. He showed that he can be a decent rim protector and a decent rebounder and a decent post player from time to time. And he still has a long way to go, but he's still very young, and he can possibly be a starter in the league in the future, which he has shown that he has the capabilities of being. The Spurs are not as bad as you think, because if they can flip these guys into more assets or even another player that can really fit a need, they'll be right back up there in the next 2 to 3 years if guys develop and no major injuries like we've seen with DeJounte happens. This team can come back and be very competitive. They can be very mobile, very athletic, very rangy and lanky, and possibly even with the roster looking like now, they can be able to switch and cover multiple positions, which is the modern day NBA, and they will have the talent and the athleticism to be able to do that. And then they still have a guy like Jakob or another piece they can get in the draft that can either give them a wing or they can trade down and get more assets, and then they still have DeMar and Lamarcus possibly as assets. They can get them more assets. The Spurs rebuild will look a lot better than what people think that it looks at right now on paper. So we'll see what Buford do. We'll see how Popovich and the coaching staff, what they have done with the young players when the season starts, how much they have grown, how much they have developed. And a lot of these guys want opportunities. They want minutes. They have shown flashes, and they have shown signs that they can possibly be a scary team in the NBA if things go right and they rebuild the right way. So that's what we're going to have to do. Spurs fans, be a little patient. I know y'all been used to making the playoffs and being competitive and winning titles and always being in that conversation as one of the best teams in the NBA. But like we all know, what comes up must come down. And the Spurs, they finally missed the playoffs, and they have a lot of guys that can leave that are veterans. And you kind of want to have a youth movement anyway, because y'all have some interesting pieces and some guys that do deserve the playing time, because they have shown even in the playoffs the last couple of years that they can rise to the occasion and they can be productive players in their own cheap rookie contracts. And the more you see, you can see if you want to keep them or trade them for another piece that can possibly put y'all back on the map. So the Spurs rebuild, it looks a lot better than what the people think. Give it some time, give it some patience, see what they do in the draft, see what they do in free agency, see what they do at the trade deadline, and then we can start judging the Spurs within the 1-2 years after this year and see, can they get back to being a championship contender, and we can see if Popovich is going to really stay for a couple more years. People saying retirement, but it looks like Popovich is pretty well coached and basically ready to go. It don't seem like he's giving the signs. It don't seem like he's rushing out the door. It don't seem like he's running away. It seems like he still wants to coach, and it seems like he still wants to be in San Antonio. And if that's the case, it'll be fun coaching the next generation of Spurs players. You already seen 1 and 2 and 3 generations almost. It'd be good to see the third and the fourth all the way through if he does decide to stay. Plus, who's going to complain about Popovich being their coach? The Spurs have done it for over 20 years. I don't think they'd be complaining now, if I had to be honest, if he's there for another 5 to 10 years, if he chooses to do that. So let me know what you guys think. Should they trade Aldridge? Should they trade Aldridge and DeRozan? Should they let them walk and try to sign somebody else? If they have somebody If you have somebody you think they should sign, let me know in the comment section below if it's a free agent or a guy they should trade for a sign, so I can see where the Spurs fans are at, or people that's interested in seeing the Spurs are at with their cap space and their potential. Or do you think that Lamarcus ain't going to get that much back because he look washed? I think Lamarcus Aldridge still look like a pretty decent player. I don't know if you're going to get a high pick, but you can definitely package them together with something else and get something valuable. And they got a lot of guys on this team that play similar or the same positions. You can put put them with a pick or put them with something else, and then you can possibly get something even better back in return because you're giving up something plus Lamarcus or DeRozan, plus you do have picks to sweeten the deal if you do want to get another younger star back in return or even an all-star that comes available. And RC Buford has shown that he's willing to put the talent and he's willing to know when to trade for somebody, when to package them, and what to get back. And like I said, you can never count out the Spurs coaching staff because they have developed the next stars, whether it was in the lottery, out of the lottery, or even in the second round. They have got the job done, and they have done that consistently within the last 25, 30 years. Let me know what you guys think, though, about the Spurs trading Aldridge. Check out my website, analysisplayground.com. Link in the description comment section below. Check out my Facebook page, analysisplayground.com. Link in the description comment section below. Like on Facebook to show support. Thanks for everybody that liked already. Not only that, I have over 1,000, almost 2,000 videos. So if you love this video and you want to check out more, please feel free to do that and like this video, subscribe, and also share it. Sharing allows me to reach more people and more people can see the videos. Same but likes. That's a small thing you guys can do to support the channel, as I do not get paid to make these videos on YouTube, but I do appreciate the people that continue to watch and continue to support in their own way. You can also buy merchandise on my Spreadshirt. You can also buy merchandise on my Facebook page. Hats, shirts, all are available there. You can change the color of the hat. You can change the color of the shirt. You can also change the logo colors that you want, that you pick, and I can get that shipped out to you if you message me. Other than that, Quinn Wade Basketball Knowledge is coming to another video, and I'll be seeing y'all tomorrow. Enjoy your day.